where there is a panel. The panel is Standing Committee on Agriculture, Animal Husbandry and Food Processing, which has basically recommended that how the government shall take steps to actually protect the farmers against the cheap edible oil imports. So what does the news says? The news says that noting that our country import more than half, 56% of our edible oil needs, the committee has basically recommended to protect the farmer from these cheap imports, and thus for that purpose the government should devise such a mechanism wherein import duties on these edible oils, they get a dynamically adjusted based on the domestic production level. So for example, let's say if the domestic production of edible oil is increasing, then such import duty shall also increase. So we can basically kind of disincentivize the import of edible oil, and that will lead for our Indian consumers to buy the kind of a domestic produced edible oil. That is the idea which is being suggested here. Why India is import dependent when it comes to edible oil? So keep this in mind that it is actually quite ironical that our country, as per the Niti Aayog, is actually the largest, or we rank first in the production of rice bran oil, castor seed oil, safflower, sesame oil, etc., even the Niger oil. But and we also kind of include 15 to 20% of the global oil seed area and 6 to 7% of the total oil production. However, keep this in mind that we also accounts for 9 to 10% of the total consumption of edible oil in the world as well. So the production is only 6 to 7% of total oil production in the world, but the consumption is almost 3 to 4% extra. So this 3 to 4% extra is something which we start importing from the region of Malaysia and Indonesia. Also, such kind of a deficit takes place. Why? Because there is an increasing propensity to consume, the rising population and the higher income level, as well as the government has basically kind of focused upon more consumer centric policies. So the moment the demand starts increasing, instead of actually putting impetus on the increasing the production, the government actually starts reducing down the import tariffs. Also, limited domestic growth. So even, for example, yes, we do have idle condition in the tropical belt, but not as much idle condition for crop yield as it exists in the region of Malaysia and Indonesia. And that is the reason that, let's say for example, if we are growing 100% in 100% region, and we are basically kind of envisaging a production of 1 kg, the total yield hovers around 60% of that only, 600 grams only. That is the issue. Okay? So because of this, we are basically import dependent for 56% of our edible oil need. And to tackle this issue, the government basically came up with a national mission on edible oil, which was launched in 2021 under Ministry of Agriculture. And remember, it's a centrally sponsored scheme where the government is trying to increase the domestic production of edible oils to 25 million tons by 2030 and to bring further 6.5 lakh hectare of land under palm plantation. Okay? Also, expanding the oil seed cultivation by 40 lakh hectare. By doing what? By better utilization of rice and potato fallow lands, as well as to promote the intercropping. This is a data which has been provided to us by the PIB as latest as August 2024. Where just look at our ranking in the edible oil. First in rice bran, castor seed, safflower. Second in cotton seed, groundnut seed. Third when it comes to coconut and sesame. Fourth in rapeseed. Fifth in soya bean and linseed. So just remember these facts and we move forward to the last news of the day.